parse this out later on. All right. Did you have any questions you wanted to start out with? I think actually you had a question about problem number 11. Is that right?
I did. I could not figure it out. I actually still have it pulled up on my computer. I don't know. I could not get it figured out.
Was this problem 11 in the quiz access?
Yes, it was. It was like where you had to figure out net income with addition of like common stock and dividends.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. And I could not get it figured out. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what's not connecting in my brain. I totally thought I knew what I was doing. And then I just kept getting them wrong. I'm like, well, maybe I don't.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let me just double check that I don't have that quiz problems 9 to 11, not quiz access. So I don't think it's on that one. So that's good. I will definitely create another one so that we can review that. Quiz access number 11. Quiz access 11. Now it's going to give the answers there, but I don't want to show the answers. Okay. Normally what I try to do is I try to work it out myself, because sometimes I even get it wrong, and then you get to see how it's worked out. And then if I have any problems, you can always just say, well, Brother Lewis didn't know how to do it. But we'll figure out the right answer, the right approach. And that way you get to see the strategy behind the madness. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I want. Cause I was like, I just don't know.
Yeah. I always have a hard time when people just know the answers automatically. And the reality is they probably practiced several times before they actually did it, and then showed you how they came up with it. So I don't do that. I just go straight from what I see, just as if you're doing it. So when you get to a quiz or you get to an exam, you get to see some of the thinking processes that get to the right result.
Right. Perfect.
Okay, so let me just move this around a little bit. And I'm kind of a hack in terms of just getting through this stuff. I just put it on Excel as fast and as easy as I can. I am actually quite an Excel guru, so if you actually saw some of my work, you'd be, I think, impressed. But here, not impressive. It's just type and go. Okay.
Get through it as fast as you can. I get it.
Yes. All right. So it shows us company's records show the following information. You get assets and liabilities, but what you're not getting is equity, right? So you have to figure out one portion of this, which is equity. And then you have to figure out, okay, well, determine net income or loss for each of the following separate situations, right? And then you give you, okay, well, if common stock is this and they issued dividends, like in this case of that, what would the net income be, right? So yeah, this is really testing your ability to do the accounting equation, which I know is just forming right now, the understanding. And so it's pretty daunting at first. But let's just first put that in here, right? Assets equals liabilities plus equity, right? Now, I've seen this before. Somebody put revenue in here. It's not just revenue, it is equity. And revenue, which is really net income, slides in there at some point into retained earnings, but it has a bunch of other things. And the primary things you're looking for is common stock or any form of equity ownership, common stock. And you're looking for like dividends will be in here. And generally you're looking for retained earnings. These are your primary accounts. If I can do this right. In equity, there's a few others. We'll get to those a little bit later, but in terms of absolute simplicity, those are the main three that you'll deal with now. On the liability side, it's usually accounts payable, and I like to shorten that, accounts payable or payroll, payroll, F2, payroll, or it may be like some sort of tax payable, okay? And then on assets, the ones you're going to deal with mostly are cash, accounts receivable, inventory, and equipment. There's also one other, just FYI, equipment. One other that you'll run into is called office supplies. Now, in my life, I never called office supplies an asset because it's consumable. And generally speaking, large companies don't keep track of their inventory of office supplies. But if you see office, you'll see either office expense, which would be over here. That's expense, because it's part of like it's your income statement, right? It's your income statement that's flowing in here. So you have revenue, and expenses, of which office expense is just one. Okay, so you'll see office expense and you'll see office supplies. If you see office supplies, more than likely it's an asset account. Okay, so these are your general accounts. And the nice thing about this, they just summarize this all. So total assets is beginning of the year, end of the year. We're looking at end of the year value. Well, we'll do both. Assets, liabilities, and we're going to derive equity. Okay, and this is going to be beginning, end, and I'm going to do a little variance, a difference, so that we can see how it changed. All right, so beginning of the year is 56,400, 25,200, and we know that equity would have to be assets minus liabilities, right? So if you come back up to here and you do this equation, the way to figure out what equity is if you keep equity on, the one side, it's going to end up being equity equals assets minus liabilities. Okay, that's another way of rewriting the formula, right?
Yep.
So we know equity is that at the beginning. If we put this in here, $88,000, and then you have 38,200, then you can just copy this over to there, and you've got what the equity is for the ending of the period. And if we just do, beginning, ending minus beginning, you'll see the variance, that increase of 31,600 in assets, 13,000 in liabilities, and 18,600 in equity. Now, the important thing about this is they're testing one, can you figure out what the equity value is? Total equity, right? And remember, total equity is made up of common stock, dividends, and retained earnings for the most part. Retained earnings being what you've earned in the past plus what you've earned now, right? So in the current period. And so the assumption in most of this is that retained earnings is only changes, this difference in retained earnings or this difference in equity is largely either because you sold stock, you gave out dividends, or you had a profit or a loss, right? One of those three things. So if I'm looking at this, then I can say in scenario, this change right here, the 18,006 for scenario A, how are we going to look at this? Scenario A, we've got common stock. Common stock, okay, issued common stock would be an increase, so that's 6,200. And we've got dividends, we issued dividends. So that is an outflow. So we're going to show that as a negative 10,200, right? So then the only thing left over is net income, right? So theoretically, you can take this is a formula, right? That change for the period of time minus what I've already assumed in common stock minus what I assumed for dividends gives me what the net income should be, right? If I sum all three of these things, it should be 18,600. So this 22,600 is your answer for net income.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what I was doing, I'm pretty positive I was adding the common stock and not minusing the common stock.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like as I was doing, because your formula, like that's what I was doing. Everything, I did all of those steps except for I added the common stock and I did not minus the common stock. So that's what I was doing wrong.
No problem. Okay, so
Okay.
now if we go to B, we're gonna do the same thing, right? We're gonna take these same, because I think common stock dividends. Okay, we're just gonna take these same items, right? Common stock in this case is 15,800, 0 dividends. So if we, and I'll give you a little, if nobody knows Excel, give you a little lesson. Okay, so I've already got the formula here, but I want to fix it on equity. Everything else is going to stay the same. I'm going to hit little F4, put little dollar signs in front of it. That means that that portion of the formula stays fixed. Everything else will move. And so now when I copy this formula down and paste it, I'm sorry, I do a lot of keystroke stuff. Right click and paste. We'll just go ahead and paste formulas. Then it's going to now take, oh, that messed it up. Okay, we'll just forget about that. Equals, or I always do plus because I keyboard jockey. So we're going to take equity. Oh, that's because I fixed the wrong one. Well, let's do that again. I fixed the wrong one, F4. Okay, well, H11 is one I want to fix. There we go. Now, if I copy this down, it should work. And I'll show you F2. Yep, it's taking H11 minus H15 minus H16, and we're done. So this one should be 2,800. Okay, and then we can take actually this whole thing now, copy it, paste it, call this C, and we have all our formulas in there, and we see no common stock, 15 minus 15,200 in dividends, and so our net income is 33.8. Now, if I look at the answers, I should have these three. Hopefully, cross your fingers. See if I actually got it right. There you go. The magic.
Perfect. Okay. That's what I was doing wrong. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. That's what it was. Minus.
No problem. You got it. Okay, so that's problem number 11. And that pretty much, I think, from the accounting equation, this one is one that they'll probably test you regularly on, just how assets equals liabilities plus equity, and then how equity is broken down into essentially 3 different areas: common stock, dividends, and net income. Initially, as you get a little bit further in this class, they may add a few other caveats or a little extra complexity to it, but as basic form, this is what you'll be looking for.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Teao, did you have any questions on that?
No, I just remembered I was doing my maths assignment and I remember the office hours. Just jump in.